That's the same guy.
He's gonna go right. He's one.
Agent, I am inbound on.
A few moments later.
Rope. Oh, there he goes, there he goes.
An agent in your vicinity has gone rogue.
No! She wasn't ready!
What's up, buddy? Oh, man. Another player coming behind us. 2 players.
There's another one right here.
30 seconds till extraction complete. Seconds.
Where's that nomad? Yeah, fuck, twice. Oh, it hit green. Oh, it hit with red, man. Dude.
A rogue agent has been neutralized.
That's it. That's pretty to heal. He's still running north? No, I wasn't just stop behind me. Oh.
What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Nothing But Skills, and today I'm bringing you another division video. Today's video is going to be focused on one of the builds that I've been focusing on a lot lately, and I just been trying to bring it to you in different ways. But the question I've been getting the most is, how do I run this build in the dark zone? Everybody knows how I run it in Last Stand and in Skirmish, and that's at 6,000 stamina. But how do I effectively run this build in the dark zone? So we're going to get into that in just a second. But before we do, I just want to say thank you guys for all the support. Remember, if you're new to my channel and this is the first time you're watching a video, hit that subscribe button. If you guys enjoy this video, hit the thumbs up, and if you have any questions after watching this video, use the comment section down below. So let's get into the build, guys. So the first thing you're gonna notice is my primary firepower is 279,000. That's firearms of 4,100. My toughness is 598,000. That's stamina of 9,000. And then my skill power is 88,000, and that's electronics of 2,900. Now, if we get into the build, most of you guys already know what the Striker 6-piece does. It gives you that extra 20% stability. It gives you that extra 10% enemy armor damage, and set bonus 4 Striker's battle gear. Every consecutive hit deals 1% more damage, stacks up to 100%. Missing shots drops bonus by 2%. Bonus is reduced by 1% every second. Bonus can be paused by EMP and is lost when exiting combat. That's one good tip that you guys can take from watching this video. If you already know what a Striker set does, is use an EMP on a Striker and it will mess up his stack for a short time. So if you're fighting a Striker, drop an EMP on him and then fight him head on, and you most likely have a better chance of beating him than him mowing you down. Set bonus 5 gives you an additional 10% stability, and then you get an additional 5% enemy armor damage, which is great towards NPCs. Doesn't really affect players too much anymore, but if you want to use this build on the PvE side, it's still really good to use. And then set bonus 6, which really makes a 6-piece Striker. Now that's why I don't really believe in running a 4-piece, because of the fact that building that stack is a lot harder to do than when you have the 6-piece. Because what the 6-piece does, it improves the Striker's battle gear, so every hit increases the bonus damage from the Striker's battle gear by an additional 1%. So that's why it's a lot better to run this as a 6-piece, because that stack is built up so much faster. And then of course, missing shots drops the bonus damage from Striker's battle gear by 1%, and the bonus is reduced by 2% every second. And then what really makes this build and gives it that nice survivability is Striker's persistence, which is also part of set bonus 6. Every hit adds self-healing bonus of 0.02% for max health per second. This bonus is increased by 0.05% for every 3,000 stamina. That's why running this at 9,000 stamina in the dark zone, when you build that stack, you're kind of like a tank. Stacks up to 100 hits hits, missing shots drops the bonus by 1 stack, and the bonus is reduced by 2 stacks every second. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to get into exactly how I have everything configured, and then we'll talk about it a little bit afterwards. For the chest piece, it's rolled stamina, it has health, it has exotic damage resilience, and it has ammo capacity. Now, as you guys know, in all my build videos, I run health and exotic damage resilience. I believe that those are the two main attributes you should always have on all of your builds. So if you're not running those two, you might be doing something wrong with your other builds. So try to get health, try to get exotic damage resilience, which is great towards Predator's Mark, and it's also great towards flame turrets and other things like that. You can roll whatever you want on the main stat of firearms, stamina, and electronics. That just depends on the build you're running. For the mods, I'm running stamina mods with exotic damage resilience because I'm going to try to go for around 24% exotic damage resilience on this build. For the mask, it's rolled stamina, the major attribute is critical hit chance, and the minor attribute is blind def resistance. Now, since I'm rolling critical hit chance on my mask, I plan on having all my mods with 2.5% exotic damage resilience. Now, if I was going to put critical hit chance on my mods, I would put exotic damage resilience on my mask, especially on this 9k stamina build where you want your survivability to be as maxed out as possible because you want this build to be built like a tank where you take a lot of damage and you can put out a lot of damage. For the mods, I'm running stamina mods with exotic damage resilience. For the knee pads, the road stamina, the major attribute is critical hit damage, minor attributes are bleed resistance, blind def resistance, and burn resistance. The only thing I would like to switch on this minor attribute is probably remove blind def for shock resistance, and then I personally like having critical hit damage on my knee pads, especially my 9k builds where I can't put any more damage into my firearms. I like having a little bit more critical hit damage. Now some of you might want to roll health here, but for me, I'd rather put critical hit damage on here and then critical hit damage on my backpack, as you guys will see in a second. For my mods, I have stamina mods with exotic damage resilience and performance mod with first aid self-heal. For the holster, the major attribute is critical hit chance. Now you could put something else on here, but for me, I feel that stacking critical hit chance on your holster is probably the best bang for your buck, especially on a patch where you need to have a lot of critical hit chance so you can put out that damage to melt players. For the mods, I'm running performance mods with first aid self-heal. For the gloves, the roll firearms, they have critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and assault rifle damage. Whatever type of weapon you want to use, if you want to run a house or you want to run an MP5, you need to put SMG damage on there instead of assault rifle damage. I run assault rifle damage because I'm running an M4. I do have other gloves that have SMG damage, so if I plan on using my house, I can switch out the gloves and I'm perfectly fine. But for this build, I personally like the M4 over the house on my striker build because of the stability you get. Your lightweight M4 hits almost 100% of the time. You really have no kind of recoil and you could just melt players more than 10 meters from the target. Unlike the house, once you start getting a little bit further out, the damage goes down, the accuracy goes down a little bit, and all your shots do not always connect. Unlike this M4, for the backpack, it's rolled stamina, it has critical hit damage, and then bleed resistance. On the backpack, this is up to you guys, whatever you guys really want to put on here. For the minor attribute, you could put burn resistance, you can put ammo capacity. I could only reroll 2 things, so I decided to roll the major attribute. I needed critical hit damage because I wanted to stack as much critical hit damage on this build since I'm already at around 9,000 stamina and I want to have a little bit more damage when I'm fighting players. And of course, I had to roll stamina to get that 9,000 stamina. For the mods, I'm running stamina mods with exotic damage resilience and performance mod with first aid self-heal. So we're going to get into the weapons which really make this build. I'm running a lightweight M4, which is pretty much the same thing as an LVOA. So if you guys have an LVOA and not a lightweight M4, don't worry about it. The recoil pattern is just a little bit different. I get that question all the time. Which one would I choose? I personally like both of them. But the reason I'm running this lightweight M4 is because the talents are rolled exactly the way I needed them to be rolled. And I'll talk about that in a second. This lightweight M4 has 24% enemy armor damage, which is great towards NPCs. The base damage is 17,000. It has unforgiving missing health segments increase your damage. 1 missing segment is plus 10% damage. 2 missing segments is plus 25% damage. It has deadly critical hit damage is increased by 15%. And then it has responsive damage is increased by 10% when closer than 10 meters to the target. Now, to unlock responsive on any of your 9k builds, it needs to be in the free slot. What I mean by the free slot is the 3rd slot on the bottom. If you look at responsive, it has no requirements to unlock because that will always be unlocked. So if you're gonna run a lightweight M4 and you want to have responsive on it, it needs to be in the bottom slot. And then deadly and unforgiving can both be on top or in the middle. It doesn't really matter what order they're in. This is the perfect rolled M4 in my opinion. Some of you might not like deadly on here. You might want to put vicious. I personally like having unforgiving, responsive, and deadly just to get as much critical hit damage out as possible. And then hopefully my critical hit chance is just enough with the mods that I have rolled on here, and then rolling critical hit chance on my gear set. So we'll go into exactly how I have this lightweight M4 modded. For the optics, I'm stacking more critical hit chance than critical hit damage. I have 7.5 critical hit chance, 4% critical hit damage, and 6% headshot damage. For the loud vent break, I'm stacking more critical hit damage than critical hit chance. I have 18% critical hit damage, 3% critical hit chance, and 6% headshot damage. For the small grip, I'm running 19% critical hit damage, 2.5 stability, and 2% accuracy. And then for the extended magazine, I'm running magazine size, critical hit chance, and rate of fire. For the secondary, the one shotgun I recommend you guys always running to build your stack up the fastest is the Showstopper. It's the fastest shotgun in the game, and you could just hold down the trigger and it will constantly shoot. It's the only automatic shotgun we have right now. The stagger rate is pretty good at 300%. The damage is 58,000, and the talents I like running on my 9k stamina build are Destructive and Unforgiving. I personally don't use this to melt players. It's more to use against NPCs to build my stack, or even build my stack on players, and then I switch to my lightweight M4. Now, if I had the perfect Showstopper, I would like to fully optimize this, but I think these two talents are really good for building your stack and then switching to your lightweight M4. Now, if you want to run a shotgun as your primary, then I recommend you getting a little bit better Showstopper than this one. This one is pretty decent, but for me, it works perfectly fine. The way I have this mod is I have optics with 7.5% critical hit chance, 4% critical hit damage, 6% headshot damage, and then I have a small grip with 19% critical hit damage, 4.5 reload speed, and 2.5 stability. For the talents, I like to run a booster shot on all my striker builds, and I've showed you guys before. I pop my booster shot right before I go into battle, and that way I get that temporary increased damage, and then I get that damage resistance for a short period of time. It's only going to heal me for 48,000. That's why I don't even use this as a heal. This is pretty much just when I'm in battle, I pop it right before I go into battle so I can hit it a little bit harder and hopefully drop the player before they could drop me. My secondary is my immune box, which is my heal. I drop it, I explode it, and I get such a bigger heal than I would if I use my booster shot or even my overdose. And this is going to come back every 36 seconds. For the talents, I like running Triage, heal an ally with a skill to reduce skill cooldowns by 15%. I like running Critical Save, use a medkit during low health to increase damage resistance by 20% for 10 seconds. I like running Combat Medic, use medkits and their allies to heal group members and proxies within 20 meters by 40%. And then of course Strike Back, reach low health to reduce active skill cooldowns by 20%. Now if we get into the character, you're going to see my critical hit chance on my lightweight M4 is 27%, which isn't too bad for a lightweight M4. My critical hit damage is 116%. My headshot damage is 87%. And then I have accuracy of 2% and stability of 33%, because you do get 30% stability just with this gear set. That's why running the lightweight M4 with this build work hand in hand, since it will be shooting like a laser beam. My enemy armor damage is 39%. My max health is 399,000. My armor mitigation is maxed out at 33%. My exotic damage resilience is at 24%, which is good for that bleed. Like I told you, if you want to combat Predator's Mark, you need to have some type of exotic damage resilience on your build. My bleed resistance is at 49%. My blind death resistance is 49%. I would like to remove this and put shock resistance. My burn resistance is 33%. And then as you see, my shock resistance is 0%. So all those shock turrets, those shock grenades are going to murder me if I get caught with one. So this pretty much wraps up the video, guys. If you guys still have any questions, let me know in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up. This will probably be the last striker build I do in a while. There isn't really any other way you can run this build. I've showed you guys the 6k way to run it. I've showed you guys the 7.5k to run it, and then now finally I brought you guys the tank way to run it in the dark zone if you want to run the 9k. If you want to see those videos and how I ran those builds, I'll put a link in the description. With any build you plan on running with striker, you need to remember one thing. If you don't have your stack and you can't build your stack, you're gonna get melted. You're not gonna be able to melt players. Remember, if you're new to my channel and this is the first time you're watching a video, show me some support and hit that subscribe button. I want to thank you guys again for all the support. And remember, if you don't see me in Last Stand, if you don't see me in skirmish, if you don't see me in a dark zone, it's only a matter of time. Nothing but skills out.